Well, today was supposed to be the video where I would say 1 day to go. 1 day to go to the no deal Brexit deadline that Boris Johnson had set for the European Union. But we now have reports from Bloomberg that suggest that's not happening. The Thursday deadline that Boris said, we're going to walk away from the Brexit talks if the EU don't accept our trade offer and the strategy. Bloomberg are reporting that the UK is now poised to continue the EU trade talks despite the Thursday deadline. Now, this is obviously as long as the European leaders signal that they are prepared to make a final push. So I'm going to explain the whole situation, but afterwards I'm going to actually analyze and say if this is true, why this is a terrible move by the British government. Because the PM will decide whether to carry on or walk away from the negotiations after a meeting of EU leaders on Thursday and Friday. And the whole point of this was that Boris said, you know our red lines, and you've been obviously coming up with all these demands. And if you, until basically by 15th of October, if you continue, we know there's no point. So we're going to walk away and we'll be fine with WTO or no deal Brexit. If the reports are right, then obviously this destroys the whole purpose. And but the issue is right now, both sides are now considering the end of October or the first few days of November to be the real deadline for getting a deal, which again, as I said, it defeats the purpose, because why would you even use that as a bluff, the 15th of October, if you're going to use that to say, as long as the EU come and say, no, we still want a trade deal, and then say, okay, that's fine, ignore Thursday, let's just continue. The European Union have always said that they want a trade deal anyway, so nothing has changed. So if Boris Johnson's government just expect the obviously the negotiating team from Brussels to just say, no, everything it's still on table, we still want a trade deal, and if he just changes his mind, that's a bad idea. Now the latest update is that today, both sides have been in talks. It's still continuing, and tomorrow we have this EU summit that the EU 27 will get together to decide what they're going to be doing. Now at this point, no deal Brexit is still on the table. It could still happen. But in terms of this Thursday bluff, essentially, we've already shown our cards. And as I said, it really depends if the reports from Bloomberg is correct. Now, according to the UK government, Boris Johnson will need to take a decision on the next steps following the European Council in the light of his conversation with von der Leyen, who is the president of the European Commission, and on advice from his negotiating team. We cannot prejudge the decision. Now, they've said that there are still differences. Well, we know that, especially with fisheries and all the others. And we need to get that settled and everything else because it's not just about fisheries, and we're going to explain towards the end of this video why, because it's not just about France or even the Netherlands or Denmark at this point. The issue we have is that it is crunch time. It's the end. We're getting close to the end of October, and we have another full month until we decide what's happening in December. And Germany are now saying that there is political will to get a deal. The same Germany who've been causing chaos for the past 6 months at least. Now, if the German government are coming out to say that, oh no, definitely, both sides still want a trade deal, and they have said that the European coastal countries, the moment they realize that they won't have any access to British fishing grounds without a deal, perhaps they'll be more flexible. This is essentially the countries that don't have a priority when it comes to fishing, telling the coastal countries like France that you're basically ruining it for the whole block. You're ruining it for the whole of the continent. Well, most of it essentially. So this is the situation that we have now. Everyone's been talking about France. Everyone's been talking about President Macron when it comes to fisheries. It's not just him. When you now have the Netherlands and Denmark making, trying to cause trouble with the negotiations recently over the last week or so, they've come out to create a united front. Well, you're not just dealing with one country anymore or one President Macron. So the fishing industries of Denmark, the Netherlands and France want the European Union to fight tooth and nail to protect their access to UK waters. I know I've said this before, but it's just the audacity that we are an independent and sovereign country, especially after the end of December, after this year, and they still want to protect their access to the territories of a different country. I don't understand how this works. So they've said that there is politics on both sides of the channel. Oh, really? That's surprising. France has now put up the most resistance because obviously Macron is desperate to keep access because he needs the votes. He knows he's losing support in France, and the massive voting bloc of the fishermen, French fishermen, is actually very important for him. And you know the French one of the French ministers has said that our fishermen will not be bargaining chip for Brexit. I mean, it's not supposed to be. We're just taking back control of our waters. And they said that they will not have to pay for the price of Britain's choices. You're not paying anything. It's nothing to do with you. You can still trade with us if you want. If you want to get our fish, you could buy our fish. Now, the European Union obviously are getting together. The last week or so, they've been very busy trying to come up with some sort of alternative to stop the UK from walking away from these talks. And nothing is obviously for granted. This is just a report that came out in Bloomberg. Not saying Bloomberg obviously spreads fake news. It could be true, but it's just one outlet and one source that's talking about this. Now, one of the EU officials has now said that it was for the UK to offer further concessions. Really? More concessions? There is a difference between negotiating for anything, any sort of deal, and both sides try to compromise. And in this point, with the Brexit trade deal, the UK to make more concessions. The European Union said that before they were to compromise on the fisheries and everything else, the UK has to back down on the so-called level playing field for business. See, they always go back to level playing field and state aid. This is why a lot of analysts have been questioning this demand. Because, yes, you have the coastal countries, as we said, especially the top three, Denmark, Netherlands, and France. You also have Spain getting involved, talking about fisheries. But for the rest of the bloc, it is all about level playing field, or as we say, protectionism, because it's not free trade. They're not going with mutual recognition of each other's goods and services. They're going with, you have to agree to EU law, regardless, which means we can't really sign any other trade deal freely with other countries. Now, you think this is bad? You now have Finland joining the row. Finland is now, they're warning both sides, but especially the UK, saying that the UK has to basically just calm down. Makes no sense because Finland have their own problems. So they say that it's not all about fishing. They weren't supposed to comment on this basically, but Finland have now warned the UK as well as the EU negotiators that there are still many open issues on a Brexit trade deal. This is a good point because for the past few months, the whole debate has been about fisheries. What happened to everything else, equivalence when it comes to the financial sector? Again, the concept of the state aid, who's going to be responsible for that? What happened to the European Court of Justice? Are they going to be the main court? Are they going to be the main referee? But it's rich coming from Finland and the Finnish government when they have their own issues. When it comes to Euroscepticism, one of the opposition parties, the Finns party, the youth wing of it, which is obviously meaningless, but they've organised a successful petition for a referendum on the EU Recovery Fund. It might be pointless, but in terms of who organised it, but there is a massive appetite in Finland at this point against the EU Recovery Fund because they say that it threatens the stability of the European Union and the whole continent, and sparking fears that the northern European nation is now following Britain's Eurosceptic example. So, if the Finnish government want to criticise the UK or Brussels, maybe they should look after themselves first. So this is the latest update that we have for you guys on this. I genuinely hope that the reports from Bloomberg is not true. But I wouldn't be surprised with all the U-turns that this government have made so far. On Brexit, I've been very supportive of Boris Johnson and David Frost and the whole team. The issue, as I said, if I were to analyse it, the whole point is, if you are going to use this card as a bluff, 15th of October, this Thursday, as a deadline to walk away, don't show it before Thursday. Because if these reports came from Bloomberg talking to one of the sources in government, British government, you just showed your card. You should have just said, oh yeah, we're still walking away. We're not going to just stay just because the EU says we still want a trade deal. You've already shown your card. So what was the point of actually having the 15th of October as a deadline? Because the European Union, it's now Wednesday, 1 day to go. They haven't changed anything. So this is absolutely pointless, and we just used our last chance to show that we don't need them. And so from now on, as of tomorrow, until the end of December, the European Union know that, we're not completely brave when it comes to walking away from these trade talks. So hopefully it's not true. We'll find out tomorrow after the EU summit. So make sure to subscribe to this channel to stay up to date. And don't forget to support us by becoming a member of the channel. You could find the link in the description, or just go on youtube.com/mytc/join. I'm bringing back the weekly Sunday video podcasts for the members. Obviously, we have the members Q&A and all the other perks and benefits that you guys can get. I'm mytc, and I'll see you guys in the next video.